Hi, guys. Welcome again. If you're just joining us, we're just going to start in a minute or so, maybe 2 minutes. Welcome, Anita, Richard, Tammy, everyone here on the Rock You Academy Coaches group, coaches, speakers, and authors. Again, we're going to get started in a few minutes. I'm extremely excited, though, about Steve, so I'll introduce Steve. And please keep in mind, if you are here in the Zoom room, if you got questions, put them in the chat, and depending on the time availability, we'll answer those questions for you. Can you join us? This is a very special interview that I'm doing with Steve, really for Rock You Academy members as a way to promote you. Obviously, I work with coaches, speakers, and authors, mostly coaches, but every coach is a speaker. And if you're not thinking about that, you need to be thinking about that. Right? To be a coach and not have speaking skills kind of hampers you. So we're going to talk about not just having speaking skills, getting paid to speak. Every coach that I meet, no one says, I'd like to coach for free. Everyone wants to get paid to basically live their passion, live their purpose, to actually have a revenue stream coming in doing what they love. Now, speaking to me is the most fun that I have. And anything that I do, I absolutely love talking. And you know this because I talk too much at times. So we're going to get started on this. And I want to introduce a good friend of mine, Steve Lowell. Steve is, well, let me just read off a few things, because Steve is one of those people that I'm just honored, Steve, to have you as a friend. One, because of your genuine caring about other people, right? Every interaction with you that I've had, including my aunt, Pat Labez, who worked with you and Jane, who really is the one that introduced me to what you do. And then in the Speaker Slam, working with Rena and Dan, and having you as a judge in Speaker Slam, I said, oh my gosh, I've got to connect. So Steve Lowell is the 2021 past president of the Global Speakers Federation. He's also a 3-time #1 best-selling author, 2020 Author of the Year with Hasmark Publishing, 2019 Speaker of the Year, PSA UK, 2018 President of the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, and a certified speaking professional with the National Speakers Association. Welcome, Steve.
Hey, thanks, Ronnie, for having me. I'm really excited, and thanks everybody for joining us today.
Again, everyone, if you're just joining us, please put your questions. If you're in the Zoom room, you can do this. If you're not in the Zoom room, you can still join us. If you're from the Facebook Live, go to meetronnie.com. That'll take you to this Zoom room. Please feel free to pop in. Steve, as I just mentioned, coaches, speakers, authors, people, it's great to share their mission. It's great to help others, but to be able to get paid to help others is even better in my book, because then you can, one, it shows you your worth, right? You feel like I got this valuable knowledge. And two, let's face it, people, if you can have a livelihood and spend more time spreading the message as opposed to and get paid for it, rather than just saying, I've got my day job and then I'm going to go talk on the side. It's great when you can do it all at the same time. So Steve, I'm going to let you take it away from here, because I just want people to get all this great information right out of the gate. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. Let's fire away. Thanks,
all right.
Ronnie.
So Steve, I'm going to go ahead and just take myself off and have you take it away. And how do we get paid?
Okay.
To speak?
Okay, let's do that. Now, folks, I'll just let you know right away that you might hear some background noise. I'm at a hotel right now in Toronto. I'm kind of in one of the lobby areas here, stepped away from the conference to do this with you today. But what Ronnie said was so important. There's a lot of coaches, speakers, coaches, authors, consultants, experts from all different fields. And this event that I'm at this weekend is called the Archangel Summit, and I'm one of the speakers here. And I want to reiterate something and support something that Ronnie said. He said, speaking is so important to drive business for us, and every coach is a speaker or should be a speaker. Now, I'm going to tell you something. There's going to be, well over 1,000 people in the audience tomorrow. Probably 85% of them are coaches of some kind. And here's a principle. And if you get nothing else out of our experience together today, get this one thing, okay? There's going to be, 85 or 90% of those people are going to be coaches, experts, consultants of some kind. But the one on the stage is the one that's going to get the business. The one on the stage always gets the business. And this is why it's so important that as an expert of any kind, you need to be able to get on a platform, whether it's a live platform or whether it's a virtual platform like we have today. You need to be able to speak about your expertise in a way that makes you stand out from everybody else. We had just a meeting with just a few minutes ago with one of the greatest speakers in the world. Her name is Sally Hogshead. Some of you might know that name. And she asked a very profound question to the group. And I want to ask you just to think about this. She asked our group, she said, put up your hand if you would rather, think about this question. Would you rather be different or would you rather be better? Would you rather be different or would you rather be better? And she asked the audience, you know, in our group, put up your hand if you'd rather be different. And some of the hands went up. And she said, put up your hand if you'd rather be better. And then most of the hands went up. And she said that in her studies, in her research, about 73% of entrepreneurs select to be better. I want to be better than everybody. And she said, that's the problem. She said, because when you're on the better side, if your mindset is, I need to be better than everybody else, it's always trying to one-upmanship. It's always trying to get a competitive advantage. And then somebody's going to pass you, and then you got to pass them. Meanwhile, there are people out there who do what you do, who are not as good as you, and they're making more money. They're making more sales. They're getting more recognition. They're speaking on bigger stages. They're selling more books. They're doing all of these things. And you start thinking to yourself, well, I'm so much better than that person. Why am I not getting, you know, why am I not the one being asked to be on the stage? Why am I not the one that all of these people are hiring? Because I'm so much better. Better is not nearly as important as different. And so what happens is when you get on a platform, whether it's a live platform or a virtual platform, there needs to be something about you that's different from everybody else who does what you do. And a big part of this, folks, is just being in front of the audience. The very first step is being in front of the audience. That's part of what makes you different. Now, I want to ask a question. Now, folks, by the way, I've got about 2 hours worth of content to share with you today and about 20 minutes or 25 minutes in which to share it. So I'm going to break a whole bunch of speaker rules here. I'm going to speak way too fast. I'm going to give you way too much information, but I do have a gift for you that you can take with you that's going to help you compile everything that we're going to talk about today and use it right away. So before we get started, I want to ask you this question. And if you're online with us today, then you can type your answer in the chat window. If you're not online with us, then if you can't chat, just, you know, think about the answer. But if you have the facility, answer the question. Okay. I want to ask you this: yes or no? Yes or no? Are you or is somebody you know in the market for a tennis instructor? Yes or no? If you or somebody you know is in the market for a tennis instructor, just go to the chat window and type in the answer. And what I'm seeing here in the Zoom window is a whole bunch of no's, right? No, 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 no. Folks, I have asked this question to audiences of literally thousands of people all over the world. And on the very rare occasion, one hand goes up or one yes goes in the chat window. And so far, everybody I'm seeing here that I can see has said no. Now, I don't know how many people are watching us at this moment, but I'm going to challenge you with this. I'm going to guess that at least half of you, maybe more, but at least half of you are either in the market for a tennis instructor right now, or you know somebody who is. And so now you're thinking, okay, Steve, well, how are you going to prove that? Let me tell you about this guy named Brian. Brian came to me about 18 years ago and he said, Steve, I'm going to all the networking events. I'm meeting all the people. I'm shaking all the hands. I'm making all the phone calls. He said, I'm just not getting the business that I need. And I said, well, Brian, what do you do? He said, I'm a tennis instructor. And we can see what the market is for tennis instructors. So we taught Brian this fundamental principle. We taught Brian this fundamental principle that you know, you're going to hear a lot of marketing people and branding people talk about differentiation, and you have to be different and all those things. And I just said, you know, different is better than better. And that's what, you know, Sally Hogshead teaches us. But here's one thing I know. You don't actually have to be different than anybody else who does what you do. But you do have to appear to be different from everybody else who does what you do. And we taught Brian, the tennis instructor, that concept. So if you saw Brian today, and if you said, you know, Brian, what do you do? He would say something like this. He'd say, well, you know how sometimes kids have so much energy, they're bouncing off the walls and they get so excited, and the parents get just so exhausted and so frustrated because they have no idea what to do with these kids. He'd say, well, what I do is I take kids of any age, I bring them on a tennis court. He'd say, I absolutely exhaust them and I hand them back to their parents. So let me ask you this question. Yes or no in the chat window. Is it possible that you might know somebody who just might be in the market for a tennis instructor? Yes or no in the chat window. Let's do this really quick. Let's get the answers rolling in here. And now look here, look at the chat. I mean, yes, 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 yes. So almost, I said half. My guess is it's more than half of you. All of a sudden, you know somebody who might be in the market for a tennis instructor. Why? Because Brian does something to make himself appear to be different. Okay. Now, if I had said to you this, when I first asked the question, are you in the market or somebody in the market for a tennis instructor? You said no. If I had said, okay, well, but you should know that Brian's been teaching tennis for 30 years. Would that have made a difference? Probably not. If I had said, you know what, Brian is the best tennis instructor in the entire world, would that have made a difference? Probably not. If I had said Brian has a very unique process for teaching tennis, would that have made a difference? Probably not, because you're not in the market for a tennis instructor. But when Brian positions himself to appear to be different, all of a sudden it changes. You see, changing the way you present often means the difference between I'm not interested and tell me more. And we've seen that right here. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how that happens. Okay, so I want to share my iPad with you because I want to show you a way to think about this. You see, your market out there, whether you're a coach, speaker, trainer, author, consultant, expert, doesn't matter. Your market out there thinks of you a certain way, and you need to know how your market thinks of you. And for some of you, and what I'm going to share with you here, some of you, I'm going to challenge you to step back out of your ego a little bit. Okay, I want you to consider rethinking that which you believe you already know. I'm going to ask you just to be open-minded for a few minutes and look at what I'm going to share with you and be honest with yourself. And you don't really have to answer any questions here, but I want you to think about, about your situation. I want you to think, is what I believe to be true about my business really true? So let me just share this with you. I'm going to share my iPad, and I'm doing sort of a mobile setup here. So I hope this is going to work. I think it will. Okay, give me 1 second. There we go. You should see my iPad there. Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. I want to share this concept with you. What I've learned over the years is this. This is a model that I created some years ago, and I call it the Repumeter. Now, the Repumeter gives you an indication of the state of your reputation, but from a very specific perspective. It gives you a sort of a snapshot of where you sit in the mind of your market. And there are 4 milestones on the Repumeter. And the first milestone is what I call obscurity. Now, obscurity means that the people in your world, they don't really know who you are, don't really know what you do. And you're in obscurity when you go to networking events and people don't know how to introduce you, or they don't introduce you. People are always asking you, what do you do? And even though you've already told them, they just don't get it. They don't understand it, or they don't remember it. And in obscurity, it's like you're feeling like, if I could just get visible, if I could just be seen, then people would hire me if they just knew I existed. And so in obscurity, what you might do is you might say, I think maybe I need another website, or I need to update my social media profile. I need to link more, and do more LinkedIn. I need to do more something because I got to get seen. I got to get visible. Okay. And you're always doing things because you want to get more visible and you want to be more seen. And that can be really difficult. Let me just try one thing. I'm going to try this thing and see if this works a little better. Hold on 1 second. I think we're going to do that. There, that's better. I think that'll work. Okay. So when you're in obscurity, you're always trying to be seen, and you keep thinking to yourself, you know what? I feel like the best kept secret. Right. And if I were, if you were in a live audience today and I said, put up all the best kept secrets, put up your hand, what happens is every hand in the place goes up. Right. And so being in obscurity is exhausting because you're always trying to get noticed, and everything about what you do is from a position of, if they just could see me, if they could just see me in action, if they just heard me speak, if they could just see what I could do, if they would just try my system, and your whole mission is about becoming visible. But then what happens is this: you do a couple of things right, and you go to this spot here that I call competitive. Now, competitive means you're in the game. It means that people generally in your circles, they know who you are and they know what you do. But in their mind, there's nothing that separates you from everybody else who does what you do. You're like Brian, the tennis instructor, or you're like a tennis instructor. And you know you're in competitive when these things are happening. It's like people are coming up and they say, oh, you're just like him, or you're just like her, or yeah, I know somebody else who does that. Oh yeah, you do something very similar too. And they're always comparing you to somebody else. At the state of competitive, you find yourself doing this, where people will come up and they'll say, okay, well, you know, I talked to that person over there and her fees are a little bit lower. Can you compete? And you start lowering your fees, or you start giving him bonuses, freebies, you start extending the amount of time, or, you know, you start trying to elevate the perceived value of whatever it is you're sharing, not out of goodwill, but you're doing it because you want to get the business before they get the business, or before she gets the business, or before that person gets the business. And it's all about competition. And competitive is like you go to an event and you see a speaker on the stage or on the platform or on the screen on Zoom. And you start thinking to yourself, you know, these organizers, this person who holds this event, they know me. Why didn't they ask me to speak? How come that person is on the stage or on the screen and I'm not? I mean, I'm so much better than that person. You know, I can do my stuff is so much better. I'm such a better speaker. My stuff is so much more interesting, so much more successful, so much more powerful. Why didn't they choose me? And your mind goes into, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. And you struggle because you're still not getting what you need. And you know, one of the worst things that happens at competitive, and this happened to me, folks, you know, a million times before I figured all this out, right? Is, you know, somebody, you know, hires one of your competitors and not you. And you think, this person has known me for 10 years. Why didn't they hire me? And, you know, and I'll give you an example of this. Okay. I trained a speaker one time. There's a lady in my town in Ottawa, Canada, who was holding lots of events, and she was holding this big event. And she came to me and she said, Steve, I've got this big event coming up with some big name speakers. And she says, I need your help because I need to learn to speak better, to host the event, and to MC the event and all those things. So I helped her and I, you know, taught her how to speak and how to do the MC piece and all that. And I went to the event to see her, to watch her do her thing. And I personally knew every single speaker on that stage. And so I went to this person and I said, I'm just curious, why did you not hire me? Or why did you not ask me to speak on this stage? And she said, oh, I didn't even know you were a speaker. I thought you were just a speaker coach. And it occurred to me that I'm not giving the right message to my audience. And so I had to change my perspective. I had to change the way I presented myself. I had to find a way to not only let my audience know exactly what I actually do, but that I'm different than other people. So competitive is, you know, you're always trying to get better and you don't know why people are selecting somebody else and not selecting you. Okay. And again, it's exhausting and competitive. So then the next step is this. If you stay in the game for a little while, you can get to this place up here that I call branded. Now, branded means it's a little bit different. Branded is a mission critical spot. This is an important spot here on your Repumeter. And here's why. Because a couple of important things happen at branded. Number one thing that happens is your name becomes associated with something else. And I'll explain that in a moment. You see, at branded, it's like people know who you are now in your circles, right? People know who you are and they know what you do. And you're kind of floating around. You're getting noticed a little bit. And the mistake that we can make at branded is we confuse getting noticed for getting chosen. And we convince ourselves, hey, people are asking now, people are going to my website, they're buying my book, people are watching my videos, I'm getting inquiries, I'm getting followings on social media, I'm getting lots of likes, I'm getting lots of shares, and all of that cool stuff is happening. But at the end of the month, you go, there's no more money in my bank account than there was last month. But here's what happens at branded. You see, your name starts to become associated with something different than it was before. You see, on the left side of branded, your name is associated with your title. You're a something, or an something, you know, and people know you as, oh yeah, he's a coach, she's a trainer, oh, they're a consultant, you know, and they're always labeling you as in a category of many. You're a group of many. And it's like you're a tennis instructor. There's nothing that separates you from everybody else who is in that group of many. But if you do some things right, you get across this line of branded, then what happens is your name starts to become associated to something else. And I'll tell you what that is in a moment. And what happens is when that starts to happen, you can get to this stage right here that I call V1. V1 is where within your circles, you are the only logical choice, which means people come to you and they say, I want you. I've read your book. I've seen you speak. I've been following you on social media. I want you. And at V1, what happens is the questions are they're less about, what are you providing and how do you compare? The questions you get are, how do I pay? That's the question that comes up. And so now at V1, what happens is you become almost a category of one within your little circle of influence or a big circle of influence, and you're the one. You're the person that they want. Now, in order to get to V1, there's this thing that needs to happen, and I call it your transformational signature talk. Now, there's some key words in there. Keyword transformational. Second is signature. Here's what those things mean. You see, almost anybody with a little bit of fortitude can on a stage or on a screen and speak. They can talk. But the issue is that everybody does that now. A lot more people do it than used to. And if you're not doing it, Ronnie's right, man. You got to do it. You'll always find it hard to build your business unless speaking becomes part of that. That's just the way it is for most people. But getting up in front of an audience and speaking isn't enough, because you got to have two prerequisites that I always say is, number one, you got to have something to say. And number two is you got to have something to sell. You have something to say. And if you have something to sell, and if you put it all together in a transformational signature talk, you can make millions of dollars. So transformational is this. Don't get up and teach me anything I already know. If I can go to Google and look it up on Google, then I don't need you. If I can open up a textbook and read it in the first 3 chapters of a textbook, then I don't need you. Transformational is this. It's not about me knowing more. It's not about me thinking more. It's about me becoming more. I need to be more when I leave that room than I was when I sat down. You need to have transformational content, not just content. So transformational is the key word. And the second word is a signature. Now, here's why. Signature means it's yours, right? You and I have a signature, and it's our unique signature. And it's so unique, you can bind yourself to contracts all over the world just by the state of your signature. In fact, if somebody forges your signature, there are experts around the world who can take masterful forgeries and separate them from yours. Your signature is yours. Nobody else has it in the entire world. It's like DNA, right? Signature talk is a talk that is that. It's one that is yours, where people say, oh yeah, John talked about that, right? Or Anita, that's what Anita talks about. That's what Linda talks about. And so that's a signature talk. So you need a transformational signature talk. It's a talk that you do over and over and over again with some latitude for customization that people get to go, oh yeah, that's hers, that's his, so that's theirs, right? And it's transformational. That's what I do. This is what I do right here. I work with speakers, coaches, authors, consultants all over the world, and I help them craft that, their transformational signature talk. So now what happens is, once you start having that transformational signature talk, then you can get to this spot called V1. Now, here's what happens at V1. Once you're there, you become the only, the logical choice in your circles. Now your entire career goes into red line. It's like on your speedometer, you get up to the red line, because now what you're doing is you're establishing the circle, and you're making the circle bigger. You become V1 in a bigger circle. That's where you start exponentially increasing your business, exponentially increasing your revenue, exponentially increasing the size of your lists. But none of that is going to happen if you're stuck over here on the wrong side of branded. So I want to ask you this question. You don't have to answer the question. I just want you to think about this question. In fact, there are 2. Here's the first question. Okay. I don't need to know where you are on the Repumeter, but I want you to answer the question. Do you know where you are on the Repumeter? And you don't have to just think about it. You don't have to answer it. Just, do you know where you are? Now, chances are excellent you have some pretty good idea of where you are on this Repumeter. And here's the second question. Are you exactly where you need to be? And again, chances are excellent that you're not. And so if you're not where you need to be, then what you need to consider is, in addition to the social media you're doing and the videos and the marketing and all of those things that you're doing out there to get yourself known, you need to consider this. if I give you an opportunity to get on my stage or on my virtual summit and speak for 20 minutes, would you be prepared? Would you know what to say? Or would you get up there and stumble through it and wing it and look and sound exactly like everybody else who does what you do? Would you get up there and say, I'm a tennis instructor? Or would you get up there and have something that you can present that is transformational and that is signature to you? And if the answer is no, you couldn't do that, then I want you to consider, what is this here? So let me show you how this works in real life, okay? Here's what happens. I've noticed this over the years, in 35 years of working with speakers, coaches, authors, consultants all around the world. Here's what we found. We found that there are three primary motivators that drive what we do, three primary motivators. And one of them, the first one, is what I call a mess, which means some of us have a big story, right? Some of us have something in our lives that has set the trajectory of who we have become. You know, maybe it's an illness or an accident or an injury, or maybe it's a major relationship thing or a death in the family, or, a birth issue, something big in our lives that have happened. And we call that a mess. And we take that mess, and from there, it kind of sets who we have become. So I don't have a mess. Maybe you don't have a mess. I've got clients all over the world who have big messes. Like, one was gang rape, a motorcycle gang, and recovered from that. I have people who have lost limbs in accidents, born with, debilitating illnesses, all of these different things, big messes. So I don't have a mess. Maybe you don't have a mess. But if you don't have a mess, you might have one of these. And this is what I have. I call it a moment. It's a moment or a series of moments in time where something, you had this moment where you go, aha, this is why I'm here. You had this moment of clarity where you've got clear on what your mission is, what your purpose is, what your passion is, why you're here in this world. Maybe you have that. And if you don't have a moment, then chances are good you actually have a mission. A mission is, where there's something specific in this world that you want to affect. There's a change you want to make, a footprint you want to leave, a legacy you want to leave. There's something like that, and that drives what you do. Okay. And so I don't want to, you don't have to answer this question right here, right now, but I want you to think about this. Can you see yourself somewhere in there? In one or more of these three spots. Now, usually when I ask a live audience this question, put up your hand if you can see yourself in there. Pretty much everybody can, Okay, you know what? Let's do this. We have enough folks online here. If you can see yourself somewhere in mess, moment, or mission, just type yes in the chat window, just so I can see if you see yourself in there somewhere. And I'm watching the chat, and you can see all kinds of yeses are coming up, right? And this is because most of us see ourselves in there somewhere. Now, here's what happens next. Okay, these are the primary motivators: mess, moment, or mission. And what we do from there is we find our message. So we have, the mess has given us a direction or a trajectory in life. And from there, we take our mess and we come to the world and say, this is what I've learned from my mess or my moment, right? I've learned these things, these great things. This is what I'm really good at. Let me share it with you. Or this is my mission, and this is my message about my mission. Come and join my cause, join my mission. And we take our mess, moment, or mission, and we turn it into a message, and we bring it to the world. And what we're after is this. We're all after something up here. I'm going to call this desired outcome. Maybe for some of us, the desired outcome is revenue. Maybe it's income. Maybe it's influence. Maybe it's impact. Maybe it's something else. But we have a reason for doing what we do. We have this desired outcome. And we think that, we take our mess, moment, or mission, and we craft a great message around it. We bring that message to the world. It's going to get us to the desired outcome. But the reality is that never happens. You see, this is the problem right here. The problem with this process is it's what everybody else is doing. Everybody who does what you do, who gets on a platform, virtual or live, probably does this exact thing. And so the space becomes extremely crowded. And so now then the question becomes, how do you stand out? How do you appear to be different? Well, that's what the transformational signature talk does. It makes you appear to be different from everybody else. And even if you're not different, and even if you're not better, it makes you appear to be different. And that's the difference between I'm a tennis instructor and what Brian, the tennis instructor, says. So this is what I do. I help people do this. Now, I want to share with you 6 key elements that are absolutely required for you to craft a transformational signature talk. And then I have a gift for you that I'm going to get you to take with you. So here they are. There are 6 keys, 6 absolutely mission critical elements to craft a transformational signature talk. And the first one is skill. You need to have skill. And I'm not talking just about being able to stand in front of an audience or sit in front of a screen and speak. That's not really the skill I'm talking about. Almost anybody can do that. I'm talking about the skill to present and communicate your information and your message so that it gets beyond the audience's intellect and into their imagination and stirs change. This is what transformation does. Transformation is about challenging my beliefs. It's about getting me to question the nature of my condition. It's about getting me to reset my expectations, rattle my paradigms a little bit. And you need to have the skill to be able to deliver in that way so that you can reach your audience at that level. And that's the skill that I'm talking about. So skill is number one. Number two is story. Now, you'll hear a lot of speaker trainers, and they all talk about you have to have a story, and they're all right. Yes, you need to have story or stories inside your signature talk. But the issue that I've found is that so many stories don't have any purpose. So here's the way you decide whether or not a story is going to be effective for you and what story you're going to use. The story needs to have these elements. Number one is it should reveal a problem that the audience can recognize. Okay, that's what the Brian the tennis instructor story does. All of a sudden, you don't need a tennis instructor. I reframe it and you go, oh, now I just might know somebody who needs a tennis instructor. So the story reveals that to you. Okay, the story should demonstrate your expertise. That's what the Brian tennis instructor does for me. It demonstrates my expertise. I take them from here to here just by doing some work with me. And so you need to have a story that does those things. And then, of course, you need to be able to tell the story. It needs to be relevant to what you do and all of those things. But when you have a powerful story that reveals the problem that the audience needs to know, and it demonstrates your particular expertise, and if you have the skill to deliver that story, you're off to a pretty good start, but you're not done yet, because the next thing you need is this. And this is one that so many people miss. I call it substance. Substance is this. Substance is that stuff that you can't find on Google. Substance is that stuff that you can't find in a textbook. Substance is that stuff that people attribute to you. So today I've shown you, I've done the Brian the tennis instructor story. That's mine. There's substance in there. I've done the Repumeter. That's mine. I created that. There's substance in there. I've done the triangle, the three primary motivators. That's mine. There's substance in there. I'm walking through these 6 pieces to a signature talk. That's mine. There's substance here. You need to have substance that should be proprietary. It needs to be yours so that people can attach your name to it, so that when you present it over and over again, people go, oh yeah, that's Tammy's, okay, or that's Steve's, and they attach your name to it. They say, oh yeah, Ruth talks about that. Okay? And so you need to have substance. And this is part of what I do, is I help people find that substance within their content that makes the audience go, huh, you know, I've never heard it quite like that before. I've never thought of it like that before. That's substance. Now, once you've got the skill to deliver, you've got the story that embeds itself and reveals the problem and demonstrates your expertise, and the substance that makes them think, challenges their beliefs, rattles their paradigms, resets their expectations, then the next thing you need to do is you need to put it all in a very specific structure. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see speakers make, folks, and so many of them make this mistake, and if this is you, I want you to be honest with yourself and reconsider this position. I've seen so many speakers say to themselves, and they say to me, Steve, I'm pretty confident on the stage. I'm pretty comfortable. I'm just going to wing it, Yeah, no. And I'll tell you, it's the worst thing you can do. You need to have a very specific tactical structure. If you want to monetize, if you want to make money speaking, and I'll tell you this, the best way to make money speaking is to have something to say and have something to sell. You can make money speaking at corporations and associations and being paid a fee. You can do that. Sally is here. Sally Hogshead. She, charges $35,000 for a 1-hour keynote. She's the elite of the elite. You can do that. And it does work. And I've got lots of clients who play at that level, but I have to tell you something. That's the hardest place to get into. It's the hardest place to get into. And overall, speaking for fee is the lowest form of paid form of speaking. The highest form of speaking, the highest paid form of speaking, is to have something to say and have something to sell. And so this structure that I'm sharing with you here are the key elements that you need. And there's 2 more. These are the key elements that you need in order to have something to say and have something to sell. So a very specific structure takes your audience with the skill to deliver it, a very masterful story with deep substance, structured a very specific way to get an outcome. Imagine this, okay? Imagine NHL hockey. Okay. And it's game 7 of the Stanley Cup finals, right? And the game is tied and it's the 3rd period. In fact, you know what? It's overtime. Okay. It's overtime, sudden death overtime, or now they call it, I think, sudden victory overtime. Okay. So game is tied, overtime, sudden victory, and you're in the locker room with the coach. And here's what the coach says. Okay, guys, here's what I want you to do. I just want you to go out there and wing it. Okay. I want you to go out there and just do what comes naturally. I want you to have fun with it. I just want you to go out there and just sort of go with the flow and play the crowd. Do you think that's what the coach says? No, the coach has a very specific pattern. He's up there with the whiteboard and he's circling things and he's got arrows up there. And when this happens, you do this. When that happens, you go here and then you do this. It's structure. It's tactical structure. And your signature talk needs to be framed exactly the same way. Okay. And so that's part of what I do, is help people create that tactical structure. So we've talked about the skills that you need to get past their intellect into their imagination. We talked about the story that reveals clarity around the problem and demonstrates your expertise. We talked about substance, that is something that you can claim ownership of, that is your proprietary approach. And we talked about structuring it into a strategic and tactical way so that it comes to a specific end. And then the next thing we need is style. Now, I'm not just talking about the way you look and the way you speak and the way you dress and the way you swagger, although all of that is part of it, but I'm talking about a unique style so that when people watch you, they should be able to watch you on a screen without any sound and say, oh yeah, I know what they're talking about. I know that person, that's their style. All the great speakers have a style, and you need to find yours. And it can take years to find your style. Some people talk about the power of being authentic and just be yourself. I don't necessarily buy into that, but some people, are really big on that. Some people emulate other speakers that they've seen. Some people it's a combination. Some people have no idea what their style is. But you need to have ultimately a style that your audience can recognize, because what'll happen is people are going to come and see you over and over and over again. And they need to know what to expect. And if you disappoint them, then what happens is they don't really know where to place you. So you need to develop a style. And sometimes it takes a little while to find that style. But part of what I do is help people identify their style. And then the last piece that absolutely has to be there is a sales strategy. There needs to be an actual step-by-step approach. So imagine this, okay? You get on a screen like this, or you get on a stage and you rock that stage, right? And people love you, and all of a sudden, all of these potential clients make appointments with you, and they make appointments, and now you get on one-on-one with them in the appointment. Do you know how to have the conversation that takes them to the sale? Because I'll tell you something, just because they saw you on the stage often isn't enough for them to shell out, especially for big ticket items. One of my big ticket items is, one-on-one with me for 2 days at $35,000. People, I get off the stage, and on the rare occasion, people come up and actually say, I want that, and hand me their credit card. But usually it requires a sales conversation. And so if you don't know how to have that sales conversation, then you're going to miss an awful lot of business. You're going to leave a ton of money on the table. And the other part of sales is, if it's not about a high ticket item sales conversation, then maybe it's about back of the room. Maybe it's about making an offer and closing it off the stage. So these are all things that we need to know. So these are the 6 items that absolutely have to be in your transformational signature talk. And this is what I do. And so I've got a couple of things for you. Then I'm going to open it up for a few questions. Okay. Number one is this. There's something coming up next week that if you're thinking, I'm convinced I need a signature talk. I need to have that transformational content. I don't want to be a tennis instructor anymore. I want to be, I want to appear to be different, and I want to make money doing it. Then I'm going to put something in the chat window here, and I want you to go and check this out. Oops, give me 1 second. I'm just going to hit enter. Go and check this out. This is a 2-day event that we've got coming up next week. We have a couple of spots left, and it's a 2-day virtual signature talk training program with me. Maximum 10 people in there. And in 2 days, we're going to go through your entire process, and we're going to show you all these 5 elements. And so if you go to that website, you'll see all the details there. But here's how it works. On day 1, the first half of the day is about helping you find that story. Okay, find that story that reveals the problem that the audience needs to solve and demonstrates your expertise in solving that problem. On that second half in the afternoon on day 2, this is about your substance. This is where we're going to find that piece that people can attach your name to, that deep transformational substance, rather than just the stuff that people can find on Google. And then on day 2 in the morning, this is about the structure. I'm going to show you how to put it all together in a very specific way so that it brings your audience to a very specific outcome. And then in the afternoon, we're going to talk on day 2, we're talk about style. And I'm going to show you different techniques that you can use to learn and explore and develop your own speaking style. And if you go to the website there, you'll see there's 2 dates. There's one next week. I think it's the whatever is 14th to 15th of September. And there's one in October. And it's $3,000 to join. And there's a couple of spots left. So you can go and explore that. But if you're in this spot where you're thinking, yeah, I need this now. I'm ready to start making more money. I'm ready to start making more sales. I'm ready to start speaking on bigger stages. I'm ready to use speaking to drive real life business into my business. Then this is something that I think you should explore. And so you should do that now. Now, I also mentioned to you that I had a gift for you. So I want to put this up on the screen. Give me 1 second. I'll get rid of these guys. I want to put this up on the screen, and you're going to need a QR code for this, or your camera. So get your camera out and just scan this QR code here. And it's going to take you to a site, a page, and this is called the Transformational Speaking Content Checklist. So I talked about the power of transformational content, how mission critically important that is. This is a checklist that you can use right now to start taking your content and compare it against the qualities of transformational content and see where you land. See if this is going to be something that will be of value to you. If the QR code isn't working for you, the URL is right there in the green space. It's speakercontentchecklist.com. So go there, get hold of this checklist, and this will be a great start for you. But if you're ready to go, if you're thinking, Steve, it's time for me to get out there, then I want you to really consider joining us next week or in October for that 2-day event, because this is where we're going to take you, put you on those bigger stages, and start making you a whole lot more money through speaking. So folks, I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes here. And if you've got some questions, you can type them in the chat window. If you're here on Zoom, if you're online with us on Facebook Live, type them in there and Ronnie can forward those to me. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got. And let's bring Ronnie back to the screen. Let's get some feedback and comments from our host. Ronnie, come on back.
Steve, thank you so much. Number one, I don't know about everyone else. I got like notes, multiple pages. And I'm like, wait a minute, I got this recorded. Even then, I'm still taking notes for it to sink in. But everything you said definitely resonates with me. I build, right? That's what I do. You talk about speak and sell. Yeah, you got to speak and then you got to sell something. I build the sell part, right? I build the product. You got the speak side. I'm like, exactly. And you talk about signature systems. I talk about unique signature systems. And in this case, a TST. Guys, this is seriously just, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot of stuff packed in. So ask your questions. Let's go ahead. What questions do we have? I'm going to go ahead and look on the Facebook page. Here's the first question.
I have one here in Zoom. There's one here in Zoom from Linda. Is there a difference between an inspirational versus transformational talk? Let me answer that very quickly. The answer is absolutely. There's a huge difference. See, here's the difference between inspirational and transformational. Inspirational talk is where I'm going to feel excited. I'm going to feel inspired. I'm going to feel motivated. But what I'm not going to feel changed. Inspiration is something that's going to come to me and I'm going to go, oh yeah, this is really great. This is so inspiring. I love this and it's really great. The problem is it's not going to make me do this. It's not going to make me go, you know something? I never thought of it like that. Maybe I should reconsider something. Maybe I should rethink how I'm doing something. I mean, serious thought about changing something in your life. Inspiration will not do that. Inspiration is like bathing. You need to sort of do it every day, right? But transformational is when I walk out, not more excited. I don't want to be more excited. I don't want to just be more motivated. I don't even want to be just more informed when I leave. I want to be changed when I leave. That's transformational. I need to walk out more than I was when I sat down. And, for example, one of the best speakers, best motivational speakers in the world is, Lisa Nichols, right? Love Lisa Nichols. I love her. I love listening to her speak. And I'm going to do a 2-minute critique on her on my Instagram in the next couple of days. But the thing about Lisa Nichols is as awesome as she is and as great her stories are and all of those things. Every time I listen to Lisa, I am, enthused and I'm motivated and I'm inspired, but I am not changed. She makes me feel great. She makes me feel excited. She makes me feel positive, but she doesn't make me think. And it's the think piece that is the transformational. I need to have a deep change in my psyche. I need to question my beliefs. I need to reshape my paradigms, reset my expectations. I need that. That's the difference between inspirational and transformational. Okay. There's a couple more here, Ronnie, but if you've got something.
We had a question from Faye Lima on Facebook. I have 2 stories. How do you decide on which one to use?
Well, try them out. Okay. And first of all, I would, ask yourself these questions, right? With these stories, which one reveals a problem to the audience? So the audience goes, or sometimes what I call a holy shit moment. Okay. And so when I do Brian, the tennis instructor, people go, holy shit, I never thought of it like that. Right. And so if you can, which one delivers a holy shit moment? Okay. And then the next thing you want to ask yourself is which one really reveals my expertise? Which one demonstrates what I can really do? And if they both do that, then use them both. But there's another criteria. In fact, there are many, but there's one more I want to share with you. I use stories that sometimes just reveal the nature of my personality. I have all kinds of fun stories that have no lesson to them. They don't reveal a problem and they don't demonstrate expertise. But what they do is they're fun stories that break the state of the audience and make me look like a fun guy. So I've got some of those, right? So, and the other thing you can do is use both. Try them out. Put them in different spots in your signature talk and see which one gets you the best results. Okay. Okay. Can I do one from Facebook, Ronnie?
Yeah. Actually, we have one from Facebook just came in. And this is from Catherine Clark. Can secret to being substantive being known for a new coined word? I can mine us embracing. Oh, mine, that's hers, is embracing your dark gifts to question beliefs about mental disorders and breakdown.
So here's the answer is it's not enough. Okay. If you listen to some of the great motivational speakers, they all have that. They've all got words. They got little mini phrases that they love. And you do need those. And I encourage those. And I do like those. But that's not where your depth is. That's not substance. Okay. Those are unique phrases that you use. They're called hooks. You can use them and they're good and you should have them. So keep them. But that is not your substance. Your substance is not something that makes people go, oh, that's cool. That's not substance. Your substance people in their tracks and they kind of go, you know what, based on what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing, I'm in the wrong spot. And I don't want to be in this spot. When I showed you the Repumeter, chances are excellent that you went, I'm in the wrong spot. I'm over here. I don't want to be over here. I want to be over there on that other spot. That can be transformational because now you're starting thinking, how do I get to that other spot? The nice phrases and the unique words are all important. And I do help people develop those because I believe in them and you have to have them, but that is not your substance. Those are basic hooks that every speaker should have. Okay. I'm going to go to, I want to be a transformation. Okay. Linda wants to be a transformational speaker. Linda, I've given you a website. I better see you in that program next week because that's where it's all going to happen. Okay.
Right. Steve, I think that's it for now. Unless anyone's got any last minute questions. I'm on the Facebook run right now, but Steve, thank you so much. And I know you're in the middle. Number one, I appreciate the fact that you brought this all to us, this content in the middle of this event. Steve, I think you called this, was it the Archangel?
Yeah, this is the Archangel Changemaker Summit. Yeah, Google that and you'll find it's in Toronto.
It's a huge event. Yeah. Steve speaking on that. I mean, this is no joke, guys. This is some serious, valuable, not just nuggets. I mean, this is like a course unto itself, squeezed into like 45 minutes. So a lot, guys. Take advantage of the link. I'm going to stay on, Steve. I'm going to let you go because I know you got to jump back to your conference. I'm going to stay on and answer a few questions here around this. But guys, Steve, again, aloha and mahalo for everything you do. And just so everyone knows, I'm speaking in Arizona, Mesa, Arizona. Steve, you and I will both be there. And I've been actually going through training with Steve as well as part of that. As we get ready for our talks, I'll be doing a Release Your Inner Rockstar talk. Awesome. At the conference in November. So I look forward to seeing you there too, Steve.
All right. Well, thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It's been a whole lot of fun. And I look forward to seeing you somewhere in our inner circles. You guys take care.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. All right, guys. Again, I can't stress this enough. Everything Steve mentioned, especially around this TST, right? This the transformation signature talk, and we now know the difference between transformation and inspiration. That TST is super, super important. He mentioned a couple of things around differentiating yourself. And if you work with me in Rock You Academy, you know, what is it I always say? I'm always like, what's your unique signature system, right? I'm always, the first thing we help you build is we identify your purpose, interests, passions, and experience, or what I call your pipe, right? To create a unique signature system. Use everything in the past that you've done, everything that you are passionate about, your interests, pull that all together to create something truly unique in your unique signature system. It ties in very nicely with what Steve was talking about, because the unique signature system is what we build your products based on, right? So if you build your coaching program, your lead magnets, your VIP giveaways, even your podcast talks or other things, it's based on this unique signature system because you're known for that. In essence, the unique signature system is the way we create your products. The TST, this transformation signature talk, is that's the talk part. Is using the speak and sell, right? You speak the TST, your transformation signature talk, and then you sell based on your unique signature system. And if your TST, the talk, talks about things that are based on your system, then you've got total alignment. What happens is we start to create that unique brand. It's no different than McDonald's. If we talk about McDonald's, you talk about, or let's take what their signature products are. I know what McLovin it is, right? It's their theme. They've got it. They're known for fast food, quick, fast. And you go to every McDonald's, it's consistent. You're going to get pretty much the same kind of food. Or if I say plop, plop, fizz, fizz, what do you think? Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. You have a slogan in your mind, a theme. You know what they're known for. You need that brand. So when your talk, your transformation signature talk, what you're known for in transformation in helping people go from before to after, if that translates to your unique signature system, what your products are based on, right? Coaching programs, VIPs, giveaways, your lead magnet, everything you do is aligned with your signature system. When those two are aligned, that's when you got true brand recognition. That's brand awareness. Make sense? So I'm going to open the floor here also for any questions. Any other questions that you might have that either I can answer or I can even pass it back on to Steve, because I'll be at that talk. I'll be on the call next week with Steve. Any questions? Who's got their signature talk? They're already, some of you may already have one done. Does anyone here have a signature talk? My signature talk is the Release Your Inner Rockstar talk. So I know what I'm building for it. And I weave in my music, because some of you know I'm a musician, singer. So I do that. Question is, what are you weaving in to differentiate yourself? In fact, out of curiosity, if you're here, put in what makes you unique. Go ahead and put it in the chat. Let's just read some of this. What do you feel makes you unique? Okay, go ahead and put it in there. No one's putting anything in there, so are you not unique right now? Put it in there. While you're putting that in, or at least thinking about it, Linda has a question. Do we need different talks for different things? Yes and no. So here's the deal. When you're starting out, you need to be known for something. It's not unusual, so do not feel bad about this. I'm here as well. We often have we're in multi-disciplines, right? We have different fields that we come in. It's not unusual for especially coaches to have 3, 4, 5 different loves or passions. So when people ask you, what do you do? And you go, because you're thinking, in what context? Is it in health? Is it in business? Is it in spirituality? Is it, you have this. So you can have a different signature talk for that. But here's the problem with them. I would rather align them together. So if I can combine my passions, interests, and experiences into a unique signature talk, then it's just easier from a marketing standpoint. Because here's the thing. if you got 3 to 5 different signature talks to start, you can expand. You can have one, and then your audience grows, and you expand. But when you're starting out, if you have too much, then you're not known for anything. It's like, you ever heard the phrase, if you market to everyone, you market to no one. It's the same thing with a signature talk. If I don't know what you're known for. Oh, Ronnie, he's the music guy. Oh, wait a minute, he's the tech guy. Oh, wait a minute, he's the isn't he like the learning solutions guy? You know, and right. You want to be known for something when you start. You can always expand from that when you're known for one thing, and then you go, by the way, guys, I'm into neuroscience and I'm doing brain entrainment, blah, blah, blah. That's the different piece there. All right. You can expand from that. So don't feel like you're pigeonholed, but you got to start somewhere. And it's easier when I can put marketing dollars or budget or just messaging around one particular theme. Ronnie Tsunami, he's the tech and marketing strategist. Boom. Then I can talk about all the other stuff I do, but I want to be known as a tech and marketing strategist. That's what I know. Schroeder. Right, Schroeder, what are you known for? Did you put yours in here, Schroeder? Schroeder, I'm gonna give you a chance here. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you don't mind. Yeah, tell me, what do you know?
I feel like when you ask what is your unique, my whole thing is unique in the sense, like, people say, oh, that's so unique. Like when I say what I do.
Well, fill us in. What do you do? Here's your chance.
Sure. I mean, so I use I get your voice to bring out more of your voice in order to have more impact with your audience, using traditional and my own spin on voice coaching, meaning singing, ma 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 ma. It's really about you finding the music that you have within you. Music is not just for musicians, as in we all have music in us. So I'll help you bring that out and find that in order to ignite your talk and ignite and inspire your audience on a higher level, you know?
So you help people to reveal to basically get their voice out in a bigger and better way, more stronger.
Yeah, more projection, more strong, more confident, because a lot of us are riddled with, oh, I don't like the sound of my own voice, so I help you get used to it and get over those blocks. You should be seen, not heard as children. So we learn as kids to, play small. So we have these subconscious blocks. So all of that stuff starts to crumble away as soon as you start to play with your voice in new ways. It's a bigger we all have a bigger package than we've been showing up using, and it's that potential. It's really about that potential.
That's
human potential.
That differentiator. So Schroeder's got you can see there, right? Music. And Schroeder, you and I were on the networking meeting last night, right? Easy Ways, pitch party. And Schroeder, Schroeder got to sing and play his piano there. I've seen Piano Man, which, by the way, I'm jealous already of your playing. So the fact is, Schroeder's he's got that differentiator, right? And let alone aligning his whole passions, purpose, interests, and experiences into a unique signature system, which is his voice training system. What is yours? Let's read a few more here. I got Tammy. Tammy's Tammy, are you here? You're a body inflammation specialist?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, tell us what is that, and why is that so different from what other people talk about, other health specialists?
Well, I am to differentiate myself. I am in the health and wellness space. I have 20 certifications in wellness, nutrition, different things, Reiki master. But where I teach people to tune into their bodies, to listen to what their bodies are telling them, so they can eat intuitively, they can learn and automatically feel if things are not good for them to have, and they can intuitively know what they need to eat. And then self-care comes into play with that as well. So how are you managing your stress? Because stress causes inflammation in the body, causes all kinds of health issues. So we talk about tuning into that, realizing when stress is coming on. So it's all, stress, sleep.
So you're not just a body inflammation specialist. You're an intuitive body inflammation specialist.
Yeah, okay.
Right, because I know a body inflammation specialist. I haven't heard anyone call it intuitive body inflammation specialist.
Yeah.
Right. So that differentiator then to say you've got, Tammy's got this unique signature system, and you guys know what I always go by. First thing we do is build that, right? Then with that unique signature system, Tammy's got this unique signature system that combines not just understanding your body in terms of understanding inflammation, and the impact inflammation has to the body, but how you can intuitively feel more about what your body needs, what it's asking for, and how it needs to, its pain, if you will, and what it needs as well. Intuitively, there's more things that you can feel. That system is an approach that you don't traditionally hear from, let's say, a doctor, right? Other than the body say, sometimes doctors will say, well, you should listen to your body. But they don't necessarily go into the, aha, wait, Tammy, that's beautiful. You have a system there, but that's what I want to find out about, right? But good, I love that a lot. I see here, who else do we have? Linda Marie Roy, unique. You have a singing, spirituality, plant-based, right? Singing, spirituality, plant-based to feel lighter. Linda, explain a little more about that. Tell me what it is, and why do you think it's unique in your industry or field?
I think it's like a tree. I think foundationally, we can dig our roots down into connection to the earth, to all that is around us, get really centered in our connection to God, in our connection to each other. And from there, then we begin to build on that. And my program starts with basically connection and awareness to all that and works its way on up. And as we do that, we're wanting to let go of the heavy stuff in our lives, and singing and mirror work and meditation and play and dancing and all the things like Ruth does and all the things that Schroeder does and all the things that all of us are bringing into it all fit into that. So by the way, when I have my podcast, you guys will be able to come be interviewed, because you'll find a way to bring lighter to this world, and I'll let you talk about it. That'd be awesome. So there you go.
So Linda's part of Rock You Academy. She's also part of the Rocky Marketing Mastermind, right? So with this, we're helping Linda to develop the lightness quest, right? This lightness quest system. It's lightness, both lightness in terms of physical lightness, as well as spiritual lightness, right? A lighter feeling, because right now a lot of people are feeling very heavy. There's a lot of depressed people in the world. And when you talk about, especially when you talk about weight loss, they tend to think of things in a very, this is what you got to take away, right? It's a very serious, sometimes it's not, no one goes, I'm going to lose weight and this is going to be fun. You don't think that. You may say that, but you're like, what do I have to give up? And there's a lot of mental and physical heaviness. So if you want to feel lighter, both mentally, spiritually, and physically, rather than just talking about health loss, what if we talk weight loss? What if we could help you understand ways to be lighter physically, but also lighter mentally and spiritually overall, so that you basically are happier. You feel lighter and spread this lightness to other people around you. If I had a lighter way of making you feel better, again, physically, mentally, and spiritually, that's what she talks about, singing. And she does this in a fun, light way, right? Using her singing, which is part of her passions and interest experiences, then that's what we need to communicate. Hence the lightness quest. It's a quest for lightness. That right there is what we're going to be working on. But you notice there, now this is the challenge. We have to articulate that message. We have to articulate that difference so people catch it. Otherwise, it's blah, 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 blah. It's going to be very easy for people to go, what? We need that quick, that ability to quickly communicate what makes Linda different. So when Linda's on a podcast or Linda's on a summit with all these other coaches, she's not just a coach, she's a Rock You coach. She stands out. Rock You, we design Rock You for people to not just be coaches, but to stand out. Because when you stand out, you get your message to more people, right? You can stand out from the crowd. So Linda, from a differentiator standpoint, if she's got 5, 6, maybe 10 or more other wellness coaches out there, right, on the summit, what makes me stop and go, okay, I only got 2 hours to spend on this summit. It's a freaking 3-5 day summit. Who am I going to put my time to listen to? Well, they all talk about weight loss. They all talk about, there's some spirituality coaches here. What's this? Health and spirituality to create a light. This, and we're singing. What the hell is that? Okay. I need something, right? She needs something to stand out among that crowd. And then imagery wise, there's got to be something that happens as well from a branding. And we've got Eric that just joined us, and Eric knows this. Eric's a freaking master at marketing and media, right? Influence effect. He literally wrote the book on the influence effect. And Eric, right? Eric, if you don't mind, just you jumping in, I want to take advantage. Eric, when you talk about standing out, right? Especially because Eric works with a lot of celebrities. What are some of the keys that you see for people to stand out when doing media?
Well, thanks, Ronnie. I was just going to be a fly on the wall this time, but thank you for acknowledging me. It's your message first and foremost. You have to master your message to then be able to have the perception stand out correctly, if that makes sense. What is your purpose? What is it that you're trying to get across? And then what's the color schemes? What's the associations that you want people to perceive and adopt? So it really starts from mastering your message. What is it that makes you an expert? What is it you're trying to broadcast and promote out there? So like, I'll use our stuff as an example. Our message is we want to bring people to God. We want to bring people together. We want to unite the light. That's where our message starts from. And then it goes to business and everything else, but it's always God first with us. And so we branded our brand with gold, because gold is for God. Gold is the pearly gates. Gold is the golden fleece, and then the other thing that we do is we elevate people. We take them to a higher level. So we made a brand, the little E and the big Z. The little E is trying to get to where the big Z is. And so our brand represents our message, but it took us a while to really figure out of everything that we're doing, where does it start? And it always starts from God. So that's my example.
So you can see there's a lot of thought that goes into that branding, right? So if you follow Steve's point in terms of the transformation signature talk, right? And you've got a brand that wraps nicely around that and your unique signature system, which is what your products are based on, right? The talk is going to get you the visibility, right? The unique brand is going to make it stay memorable in people's mind. And then the unique signature system helps to keep that brand in people's mind. And you got a unique brand that's uniquely you to stand out. I want to mention Steve, because is Steve Pearson still here? Steve is known as the gratitude geek with a signature system called Urge, big URGE. When you hear about it, you'll get that sudden urge to buy the system. Steve, fill everyone in what you do. You muted, Steve.
I got very sick actually with a gut issue for like 10 years and was undiagnosed. And I had to give up my job as the administrator of a hospital in Beverly Hills with a view of the Hollywood sign. And I thought I'd landed, but I got really sick. And being sick and being home with no diagnosis, actually started to drink a lot. And I ended up in rehab. I took myself there. So I really struggled to kind of fit into any little peg of groups or whatever. But the one thing that I hatched onto was gratitude. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'll do this, write 3 little things a day. But then I started researching it, and then the science. This is where I'm the geek. The science behind gratitude and how many studies and what it actually does to your brain, like these little dopamine, little atom bombs go off, and just that whole process of thinking for something you're grateful for, you're already like starting to create, make your body feel better. And so I got sober. It's been 3 years, and I also healed my gut too, which is a total mystery illness. And the thing is that there's a gut-brain connection. And if your brain, if your tummy is upset, you get anxiety. But if your brain is happy and producing gratitude and dopamine and serotonin, that sending all of that down to your gut, and it's really, really healing.
Yeah.
But I'm not a doctor.
But Steve,
So-
do you understand the gut gratitude? Because I've had gut health.
Yeah.
I've heard of gut health.
Yeah.
Linda, you and I, and Ronell, right? We're all in the wellness field around the gut at some point. But I don't normally hear gratitude as a piece of the gut, right? Yet we say you have a gut feeling. Got a gut feeling, or when I don't know about you, when I have breakups and relationships, my tummy hurts. Like I feel it, like it physically hurts, right? It's a gut thing. So gut gratitude is a differentiator. Do you understand? My point here is, guys, what makes you stand out? One of the first questions I get when people wonder if they should work with me, I said, and you know this, well, a lot of you I work with, right? Hardy, I'll say, my first question out of my mouth often is, so what makes you different? And you're like, I care. I really care about my people. I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. No coach goes, I don't freaking care. No. What makes you stand out? I'm a little short Hawaiian guy in the middle of North Carolina. You think I stand out? Damn straight I do. Ronnie Tsunami, people recognize the name. Oh, okay, that stands out, right? Something that hooks. Okay, it's got to be a hook. My question is, what's your hook? I get it a lot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying what you do is not good enough. It isn't about the quality of your service. But how many people have you met and you were like, damn, that's one smart woman, right? Or one smart guy. How come not everyone knows about? How come not everyone's buying her service or using her, right? Using her program. And you're like, best kept secret, man. Credibility plus visibility equals reputation. And in this very social media focused world, visibility is harder and harder to stand out, right? Because how many times be honest, how many times have you watched that Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or YouTube person and you're like, what the hell? Why is that person? Why is it that person's got 1 million views? I watched two rappers called the Island Boys. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. I watched it. I went, this is the most stupid, clueless people that I've ever seen on YouTube. And I'm looking going, 3 million views? Are you freaking kidding me? They got all these sponsors. I'm like, what? Because in my head, I'm like, what's the power? Why is it someone that like Linda or Ruth? Ruth is helping kids and adults with confidence and self-empowerment. Got a program that could change the lives of millions of kids and families, right? Around the world, autistic, children and adults. I'm going, well, and seniors, right? With Alzheimer's, there's all this good stuff there, but she can't stand out if she's just calling herself a self-confidence coach. I'm like, just not going to stand out. It's not going to stand out. That's what we work on. So I want you to think harder, guys. Think about ways to stand out. And if you need help with that, I can't stress this enough. Forget about just working with me. Rock You Academy, that's what we're about, right? But Steve Lowell's program, I'm going to Steve. Like for me, for my signature talk, I'm like, he's was the president, not just a member of the speakers or global speaker organization. He was the president of this organization. He's been in it for years. He's just, if you go to stevelowell.com, you look at his accolades. I'm like, yeah, there's no better person in my head to do a signature, design your transformational signature talk than Steve. That's why Steve, just so you know, guys, for Rock You Academy, he's our main speaking coach. Like he's the guy we refer to. I'm working. You'll see him on Rock You Academy. By the way, we have a new website, rockyouacademy.com. You go to the rockyouacademy.com website, you'll see Steve is one of the programs because we're an affiliate of his program, not just an affiliate for everybody. It's got to be something that's going to help you stand out, because that's the whole thing in Rocky, right? All right, guys, take care. Stand out. See you, be you, rock you. Bye.
Thanks for.
Thank you so much. Awesome class.